So we're going to start here and see what we can find. It's not my navigation, it's not my fault.
He saw us. I mean, he could have waited. It would help if I remembered how it's actually fitted.
And I'll put that in my little morbid scrapbook. Well, it feels a little bit sad and sentimental being sat in here, potentially for the last time.
So my two co-pilots have enjoyed a nice little snooze on the way here. So we didn't know what to do today. We're in the last few days really of having Stampy at our beck and call. So we decided to, we were going to go and visit Jane Austen's house, but unfortunately it closes quite soon today. So we've picked Winchester, and we've decided to go easy on ourselves and pick the park and ride just outside Winchester, we're in the South Park and Ride, which online is described as having designated motorhome parking. There's only appears to be 2 spaces. To be honest, there's lots of spaces and there's lots where you could overhang on the curb behind. So if you're as long as we are and you don't fit inside a normal car parking space, there's plenty of other options, and I don't think you'd be in trouble. From what I read online, it's after 10:30 a.m. it's £3 for the day, and then we've just got to wait for a bus to take us into town. It says £3.50. Of course it's gone up since I read it. It's gone up. That means it's gone up in the last hour. Anyway, we'll go and sort out parking and we'll get ourselves into town, and then we're going to try, I believe Bee's got a little historic trail for us to follow, but we'll see. We've just seen a bus, 2546. Was it 2546 was the Ringo? Yes, 2546. If we can miss this bus, it's probably going to be another 10 minutes standing around. It's already quite late in the day. I think we might have missed that. All that faffing around apparently. He saw us. I mean, he could have waited, but it's against the law, isn't it? So, oh well. I'm just going to check the times for the next one.
The buses are every 10 minutes, so we didn't have to wait very long. When we go on these trio dates, often Phoenix and Daddy have a little date because Phoenix likes to talk. So there was I thinking I wasn't going to do any filming. I'll let Daz take the lead. Nothing will get filmed because they're just too busy chatting, which is kind of cute. Anyway, we've walked down Market Street and it's brought us to the beautiful frontage of Winchester Cathedral. So we're starting our walk at the Visitor Information Centre in Winchester, and just over there you can see King Alfred's statue. So this is the Keats Trail we're walking on, and Keats apparently spent a late summer and early autumn here in Winchester in 1819, and he fell in love with the place, did a daily walk around the area, and then he went on to write the very famous poem, I think it's called To Autumn or O to Autumn, should know that. So we're going to start here and see what we can find. So turn left outside the information centre and walk up the High Street, take the second left into Market Street and continue to the beautiful front of Winchester Cathedral. So when John Keats, the romantic poet, came here, Winchester Cathedral was 725 years old. And just 2 years beforehand, Jane Austen had been buried in Winchester Cathedral, even though on her gravestone it says nothing about her being the most amazing novelist that everybody remembers now, because in our area we are celebrating 250 years of Jane Austen. just imagining the wisteria that would have been so beautiful a couple of weeks ago, and now it's all gone. This is one of the 2 remaining city gates. Right, let's go through.
So we're now in College Street, where apparently Jane Austen spent the last few weeks of her life at number 8. So we're going to find that if we can. We were counting down the numbers and then they seem to have run out. Ah, there's number 10. B, there's number 10, so this should be number 9. Aha, of course, it's the one with the big plaque on.
Well, it's hard to believe she ended her days here, but when I look around me, you've got all these beautiful buildings, and you've got cathedral buildings and the walls of the walled city just behind me. And it just reminds me, this woman is famous worldwide. Everybody knows her books, everybody knows the names of her books, everyone knows the characters. And we are so lucky living in the county that we live in to be able to access Chawton House, to be able to access Jane Austen's house in Chawton, and to be able to walk the city of Southampton and find important places that she lived there, and of course in Winchester where she spent her last days. So yeah, it feels kind of special and important that we've got these buildings available for us to go and look at now. And her work will live on forever, even though perhaps she was famous in her time, but not quite as astronomical as she is now. And that's what it was like, I suppose, in Regency England.
Okay, so today we're upgrading from the Atoto F7, which you've seen me install, to the new Atoto S8. Rightio, so a very quick unbox for you. We've got some manuals here, including this very interesting one about gestures. We've got our 4G antenna and the Wi-Fi antenna, various wiring looms, the microphone for your phone calls, which you've already got installed, a couple of USB cables here for fast charging and an external DVR, some framing, some caging, and a couple of films, a frosted one, HD film, don't know much about that, and of course the Atoto unit itself. Now hopefully this should be a straight swap from the last one. Right, now the battery's disconnected, let's get the unit out and check out the back. It would help if I remembered how it's actually fitted. Did hope this was going to be a really quick kind of just pull it out, stick it back in job. But no, I forget I've actually secured it in, so we'll have to unscrew it. Do you know what? I might have to go back and watch my own video just to figure out how to get past these things again. Okay, so there's a popper holder up here and one sort of down there. Get your trim tool in the top and in the bottom, pull the whole unit forward. This whole thing comes out, giving us access to the screws. So screws out, this is what we've got. As you can see, there's a couple of parts to the caging, and then we've got this sort of whole wiry thing to sort out. Since I'm not an electrician, my first instinct is just to try and swap it like for like. Let's see how that goes. So a couple of things I've noticed is the Wi-Fi connector here no longer fits. There's a new type of cable here which I've got, but it just means I've got to strip this out and feed the new one through. And then I've got a couple of wires spliced into the previous loom for a rear camera and maybe a power lead or something. Might find out whether I can reuse this, otherwise we'll have to just cut and splice into this new loom here. Okay. Right, well, that's a bit of a draft version of the final thing, but it's good enough for us to probably plug the battery back in and bring it to life. Here we go. Right, so let's go to home. And we'll turn that volume down for now. Yeah, it's very responsive. Okay, so there's some apps on here. They must be preloaded. Looks like it's got an OBD app and YouTube. That's good for the kids. Okay, well, this appears to be working just fine. Maybe I just need to go into reverse. That's interesting. I'm no expert, but I think the wiring loom from the old unit is going to work just fine with this, and I'll get these other wires put in. We'll get it screwed in, fascia back on, all tidied up, and take a closer look at all the features and benefits of this new unit.
So we've walked through the cathedral, we've walked past Jane Austen's house where she died and wrote her last bit of poetry. Now we're on the water meadows. Well, we've just spotted a heron and we've seen a sign for private fishing, and you can see how beautifully clear the water is, and it says there are actually trout in the water. I think if this was my daily walk, I'd be inspired to write some poetry, though it probably wouldn't be as well composed as Keats's. It's not my navigation, it's not my fault.
Navigation, once again, is exemplary.
No, I'm following a map, but I've just been reading the map and the trail because it takes you to St Cross Hospital, and it says you could just walk back the way you came or you can take these streets. So I did see on the map that it kind of just goes down, but there's no back up again. Probably because there isn't a particularly nice scenic back up again. This has been the most beautiful little wander through history and little wander through nature, and I can see why he was inspired, but just bear in mind you might have to go back the way you came or take a less scenic route back up into town. I think we're just going to turn back around again because I really want to get a photograph of Jane Austen's house, the place where she died, because I didn't get that. Once again, I'll put that in my little morbid scrapbook. I'm always on postbox watch. And I said to Daz, it's because this is a really old one. You know, I'm trying to think of when Queen Victoria was on the throne. I think it was like 1837. So this is old, you know, this is George. Now he can mock my love of postboxes, but actually it's like a historic building and kind of predictable because they're always red. And there's rare ones too, you know, I'm not ashamed.
So here's a couple of things to know with the setup. Obviously there's a really nice sort of brightness feature because I don't like the glare that computer screens and phone screens give me, so it's quite nice to turn that down. Under the settings, device and sound, one interesting thing is there's a speed compensated volume, so as your vehicle goes faster and the engine gets noisier, it actually turns the volume up, something that would have been very useful if they could relate that to kids too. But also, another bugbear of mine, the mix between sat-nav and music tends to never be quite the right balance. It's either the navigation is too loud and music's too quiet, or vice versa. So here you can come in and set the mix. And interestingly, just for safety as well, when you're reversing and you really do need all senses on, it will automatically turn the volume down. It's just like a regular kind of tablet or phone. You've got everything that you've looked at open, you can swipe those things away. So let's go into our apps. We've got the gesture app here. So at the moment default is nothing's really on, but if I switch on move left and move right, and we'll turn these into skip back and skip forwards, then if I start playing some music. Now the gesture sensor is just here. I'm not sure how sensitive it is, but let's try moving this track forwards. And backwards. I feel like I should be in Star Wars or something. Or maybe a Harry Potter. Yeah, that seems to work really cool. So let's also do one more. Let's add move down. Let's put that as pause or play. Seems to pause and play. The trouble is, to do a swipe down, I kind of have to lift my hand up. So let's try a different one. Let's make wave. Let's make wave the pause and play. And played. Okay, it works. I'm not sure why it means you can't have those ones on. It's an interesting idea, and I'm sure it's something you can get used to and find very useful when you don't want to be looking down at the screen and you know you can just gesture whilst keeping your eyes on the road. But obviously something that's going to take a bit more practice. Okay, here's something I'd like to show you, this little OBD check. Now, I used to have this app on my phone, so I've put the OBD into the Fiat Ducato and I'm going to see if I can connect it. There is also a split screen option, so we could have, if you wanted to, the radio and the sat nav on. Alright, so the last thing we're going to look at today is this tyre pressure monitoring system that's compatible with the S8. So there are all the caps and the adapter. Let's get it connected. Okay, so with a few adjustments, this is where we are then. I've got two greens now. Now that I've learned to tighten the nut on the back of the valve a bit better. Tyre pressure is too low on two of them. Now I've set the levels. So I've just got to pump those two tyres up and then we can give it a test drive. Unfortunately, due to that wobbly needle, I had to keep taking the caps on and off to get the correct tyre pressure, and not every time I put the valve back on did it stay green. So it's a bit fiddly, but I got there in the end. Phew, right, well, after a little fiddle with the cap there, we've managed to get all four of the sensors working, so now I can measure in real time the temperature of the tyres and their pressure. It's a great little system, and if you want to get yourself an Atoto system like the S8 that I've just put in there, then don't forget to check the description below because I might have just bagged you a deal.
Last Supper. Well, it feels a little bit sad and sentimental being sat in here, potentially for the last time. So we're just making a quick cup of tea and having a flapjack before we go home. It's been really useful using the park and ride in Winchester.
Yeah.
Only cost £3 after
10:30, and that's plenty of time. Shops are open late, but there is also some parking in town if you fancy venturing in. It's kind of restricted Monday to Friday, something like 10 till 6 p.m. So if you're going ahead in for an evening meal, you could do that. But hopefully you enjoyed our little trail around Winchester.
But yeah, there's a couple of motorhome parking spots in the South Car Park. Highly recommend using those and using the park and ride facilities. It was dead straightforward, and there are so many nice things to visit in Winchester. It's a really beautiful city despite it being large. It still feels very historic and very pretty. Okay, well, it's goodbye from Stampy. And perhaps next time you see us, we'll be in a different vehicle.
Bye.
Bye!